Welcome back on the newspaper review. We've taken a look at some of the stories making the rounds on the front page of the Punch newspaper. But right now we are being joined by Joseph Onyekwere, who is the deputy editor, The Guardian Nigeria, and also a public affairs analyst. Good morning and welcome to the newspaper review, Joseph Onyekwere.
Thank you so much for having me.
It's good to have you this morning. Late yesterday, there was a story that had to do with the southeastern parts of the country where during March 2019, the 9th of March 2019, elections took place across the country, and Ebonyi State, we had David Umahi was then in the People's Democratic Party, but later on last year, he defected to the All Progressives Congress, and for which the People's Democratic Party have taken him to court. But right now, the Federal High Court, presided over by Justice Inyang Ekwo, gave a verdict that to nullify the defection of Mr. David Umahi and his deputy to the APC. Now, what can you say about the role of the judiciary with regards to democracy?
Anyway, we know that we run a constitutional democracy where the constitution is sovereign, and we have three arms of government. The judiciary, we all know, has the role to adjudicate over conflicts involving both the executive and the legislature, including even the judiciary itself.
Okay.
So that is the major role of the judiciary, is their function to adjudicate over disputes, over conflicts, where there are issues. And you know that in every given society, from time to time, there are bound to be conflicts. What has arisen in the case that you just mentioned was a conflict between the governor and his former party as a result of his defection. And the best place to go to ventilate this particular grievance is usually the courts. And that is the reason why they approach the courts. So the judiciary, in my opinion, still has the mandate to actually adjudicate circumstances of that nature, so that the society we have an orderly society where people will not be taking the laws into their own hands.
Okay. Now, with regards to this particular case, the crux of the matter, according to Justice Inyang Ekwo, was that the defection was the crux of the matter, and that the All Progressives Congress did not justify or gave evidential reasons for that. They didn't address it, that they were rather evasive, because when you look at the article, the judge was actually quoted there that the defendant, which is the APC, the fourth and the third defendant, which is the governor and his deputy, were unable to defend and substantiate their reasons for defections, and that when a political party wins an election, or when a governor emerges on the platform of a political party, that it was the political party that won the election. So the votes of the political party cannot be transferred from one political party to the other. And that's the reason, the breaking line where they had to cut that to nullify the defection. Does that hold sway?
Yes, I understand the reasoning of the learned, the Honorable Court.
Yeah.
It is the political parties that nominate candidates. And the Constitution says before you qualify to run for election, you must be nominated by a political party. And so the issue before the courts was that the governor defected and abandoned their platform and the mandate given to him by that platform. And then in their response, the governor and his defense team were raising the issue of immunity, that they are already sitting governor, and they are covered by Section 308 of the Constitution that confers immunity on them against prosecution, so that they cannot, be prosecuted, taken to court, on that basis. and the judges agreed with them and said the crux of the matter is not about your immunity. The crux of the matter is about your defection. So you didn't really address the issue of your defection and the fact that you were sponsored by that political party and you are not supposed to abandon the political party to another one. Having said that, we also have to take note that in as much as the governor and his defense team did not actually raise the issue of defection in their defense,
Okay.
it is important for us to take note of the fact that the governor of a state, his removal is stipulated in the Constitution.
Yeah. And
defection is not one of those conditions. So, as far as I'm concerned, the judgment of the court was sound. It opens a new vista in our political jurisprudence in this country. And I would have loved to have this kind of decision sustained because of our political harlotry in this space.
Okay.
But unfortunately, it does appear to me that will not be the law, because there have also been previous decisions on defections involving different governors in the country, and it has ended the other way in the courts. So this is a new vista, like I just earlier said. This is a new direction that the judge has taken. So I'm looking forward to what the appellate courts will say, because the governor has already indicated an interest in appealing that decision.
Yes.
So I'm looking forward to what the appellate courts will hold in this circumstance. Definitely, we would like them to do this part, because I understand where the judge is coming from. I mean, it's this kind of political harlotry in this environment. It's only here we see this much. I don't think there's any other environment, any political space where you see people crisscross, carpet cross, defect in the morning and return in the evening and move. Within a space of 1 year, you can see a politician crossing up to 5-6 political parties. So that shows that they are is self-serving. They are serving their personal interests, not actually the people, because they are looking for where their political nest will be better fed. They will gain more advantage for their personal interest.
Okay.
So that's my opinion on that.
But do you think there will be need for a law, a legislation, either from INEC or from the National Assembly itself, making or suggesting any of such laws to tame the defections of politicians from one political party to the other?
That is the way to go, honestly speaking. The best way to do it is that even in this constitutional amendment that is ongoing, that we create a provision or a clause adding to, modifying the section for removal of a governor or president or politically exposed persons, politically elected persons, that if you defect, including even legislators, if you defect, you lose your office. But unfortunately, I can't see that happening, because members of the National Assembly are also guilty of these incessant defections. And they are the ones that will make that law, that will amend the law to include this. So to answer your question straight away, I would have loved to have that in our laws, both in the electoral acts going forward and in our amended constitution, so that politicians will respect themselves and maintain political parties they want to be in, buy into the ideology of that political party, stick to it, then take over whatever comes there. Perhaps there could be a proviso that if your political party disintegrates, as it is made for lawmakers, you know that this issue of defection, a lawmaker who defects will lose his office for the fact that he defects when his political party is not disintegrated. That's the only lawmaker. It didn't include executives.
All right. Okay, thank you very much. Let's move away from that to our next topic of discussion this morning. Yesterday, March 8, 2022, was the World International Women's Day. And you talked about breaking the barriers, but let's consider the participation of women in governance and politics, most especially in Nigeria. How would you describe women's participation in politics? Do you think they are making a mark? Are they forthcoming? Are they well represented?
Women participation in Nigerian politics is very abysmal, very poor, and regrettably so. You look around, from the legislature to the executive, including appointees, very, very few women. And what I have noticed is that the same set of women, once they come to limelight, are recycled. There's not even an attempt to empower others to, join. If you remember, there are certain set of women since 1999 that have been in the saddle or have been very visible political landscape. They've been recycling themselves from either lawmaking to executive offices and all that. Why not see women making those impacts? So for me, to answer your question straight away, is the participation of women in our political system is below expectation.
Okay. Now, there's been accusation leveled against the Nigerian political space that it's very, very tough and strong for a woman to participate in there, and there's this form of dominance. There's a lot of accusation leveled against the men. Most especially, let me bring to your notice that I was in the women's program yesterday. They were talking about business, the participation of business, of women in businesses, and how women can make use of their networks to take over the business space. But they really mentioned politics. So when the issue of politics came to the fore, they said a lot of issues hinder women from participating in politics. They said with regards to Nigeria, the peculiarity of the Nigerian political space, a woman cannot survive on that space. Would you agree with that?
Well, it depends on what they're trying to refer to. Because I've seen some women who are actively engaged in Nigerian politics, so it's within the same space that they are functioning. So it depends on what they are trying to talk about. But the truth of the matter is that in Nigerian political space, you need to have the grit, you need to have the grill, you need to have the power, you need to have the brawn to, withstand the vagaries and nitty-gritties of our political system. It's not easy both for men, because if you notice, you will see that in our political space, in my personal opinion, the kind of individuals we see run our things are people who are possibly just a little below average. The intellectuals, the entrepreneurs, the intelligentsias, they shy away from joining politics for the same reason. And that's the reason why we are where we are today. That's the reason why we're not making enough progress, because the people who have ideas does not have the mental capacity, does not have the tolerance, does not have the grit to withstand the pressures, to withstand the defections, withstand the kind of battle that ensues in our political space. So, and it's part of the reason why we're asking for electoral reform, so that some of these things will not be there. The thuggery, the fighting, the mudslinging, and all the rest of all those will be highly minimized, so that people with ideas, people, with the intelligence, the people with creativity will come and join the political space. So I believe that women who want to join the political space should be able to overlook some of these difficulties, because there's nowhere power is given on a platter of gold. They should be able to come forward, present themselves, and face it. It's not going to be a tea party. It's not going to be a piece of cake. No matter how, even if we say, okay, it's in UK, it's anywhere, you must have to put yourself, come forward and prepare to, withstand whatever challenges that's going to come your way for you to be able to overcome.
Okay. And that's Joseph Onyekure, who is the Deputy Editor, The Guardian, Nigeria. Many thanks for joining us, and many thanks for your time with us this morning.
Thank you so much for having me.
You're very much welcome.